Know this. Introducing the original blood clot podcast, not players. Soothing Semantics. Special dedication all the way from New York. Boom. Yeah, man. SWOT Semantics. Yeah, me know. Boom. Soothing Semantics. Yeah, me know. Big ups to the man now. Soothing Semantics.
On another episode of Soothing Semantics, I am your host, Rafi Pinsky. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, like the episode, make your comments, leave your comments. And today we have Lucas on the show. What is going on, Lucas? How are you, brother?
What is up, my man? I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy to have you.
Yeah.
So we met at a networking event at Top Golf in Florida, and Shane Santa Crochet. It's great. It's so good.
I hope he sees this.
What's great is that, like, you know, Shane is a macho dude. So when I sent it to him, I couldn't wait to see his response. Because I wasn't sure if he's gonna be like, bro, look, that's not cool, or if I figured he would laugh about it. He's cool like that. Okay, so we met at the event. We didn't meet at the event.
No, we were at the same event. Time, but yeah,
right. So you reached out to me, and we had planned. We're still going to do that, but we're going to grab lunch this coming Monday. And Shane invited me to do a podcast yesterday, and lo and behold, you're there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And we sat down. We did the episode. It was a great episode. And then I figured, hey, you know what? I'm definitely down to interview somebody this week.
Yeah.
Who better to interview than my man right here?
Fuck it. We kind of had an intro yesterday, you know,
dude,
sort of.
100%.
Yeah.
Lucas's company is Lucas Lending, powered by U Mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And as everyone knows, I am a real estate agent. So he needs agents and we need mortgage brokers. Both jobs are quite important for one another. So Mr. Lucas, give us your backstory.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a bit about your childhood, because that's always something I like to go into with all my guests, to get a picture of how they got to the point in their life that they are now and how you got into mortgages. The floor is yours.
Wow. So I was born and raised in South Florida to Brazilian parents. So first generation American, like so many people here. A lot of my friends growing up were the same way.
Did you grow up in a favela?
No.
There's no favela here?
No favela here. No, it's pretty regular suburban in the neighborhood here, Chapel Trail, very middle, America sort of.
I pride myself on my shitty Brazilian accent attempt.
Hit me.
Faci, forte, haji. Please, thank you.
Mr.
Lucas, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, they do that. I want the 22.
22.
22. I like, you take they always do that thing with like the E and the ch.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a thing. Yeah. That was pretty good.
Ask you want to roll on the mat Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
Yeah, we roll. you do the sweep on the, on the heap, the heap sweep,
Is that a sex position? It sounds like it.
Dude, I did jiu-jitsu for a bit. I kind of fell off a bit.
Real quick, is it kind of for Jews, if they don't get into law school or medical school, they're looked down upon? Is it the same for Brazilian parents? If you don't do jiu-jitsu, you're outside of the house.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the thing. I think if you don't play soccer or jiu-jitsu, or you train jiu-jitsu, there's something up with you. You're definitely like the black sheep, probably.
Are you being funny or are you being serious?
I mean, I'm being kind of funny, but damn near every Brazilian really does play soccer. Like, so at least like the guys, like even girls, but like straight up, that is the culture. Like you go there, like everybody loves soccer. Like it's a real thing.
But what if you don't have cauliflower ear? Are you still are you that one dude at a family occasion that has regular ears?
No,
and they
in my family, no. But it's funny enough because at least in my family, soccer was a big thing. But jiu-jitsu, my dad did judo, but like his ears are fine. I feel like it's like people that really take it to that level. They get the cauliflower ear.
I kind of want cauliflower ear,
just to be that guy. You're not fucking with me.
I feel like I should have it. I don't want it terribly, but I feel like it would fit. It would suit me. Part of me doesn't want it because it looks pretty shitty, but on the other hand, it's a badge of honor. It's pretty dope.
It definitely is. Yeah. It's definitely like, man, you are not fucking with me today.
Because when I see people with cauliflower ear, I'm like, damn, you look a lot more badass than I do. Mm-hmm. It's like a stupid competitive macho thing where I'm like, I kind of want it now.
And a lot of them are like humble. Like when they have the cauliflower ear, like they're chill. You know, but it's like, you know, like, man, I'm not going to poke this bear. You know
Totally. Yeah. 100%.
So getting back to this, so I was, you know, born and raised here, you know, whatever, graduated high school early, went to university, kind of lost my desire to dedicate myself to school. Like as soon as I got in, my family is like, you know, academics. My dad's a pediatrician. My mom's an attorney. So school was definitely the path, you know. But I don't know, I got into, you know, went to college, you know, started partying and all that. And I don't know, I was on like a pre-med track, wasn't really feeling it. And I had graduated early, like a year early. And my mom suggested, you know, maybe taking some time off, like, you know, how people do like a gap year sort of thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. Right around that same time, my boy, who's also Brazilian, moved to Atlanta like years ago, but he's from here. He hit me up because his uncle had bought some land in Nevada, like to gold mine. Like he was like, I don't know if it was like a midlife crisis thing or whatever, but he like was kind of well off, not like super wealthy, but like had, you know, he owned several Domino's like franchises. Like he was good. And so he bought this land in Nevada. He wanted a gold mine. So my friend was like, you want to go? We're going to get an RV and go over there. So I was like, screw it. Like, let's do it. So I didn't sign up for school the next semester. It was like spring 2011 or 12 or something like that. So we went, we gold minded it. Yeah, it's exactly what I was like, gold minded it.
I think it would be gold mined.
That's what I think too. That's normally what I
was just trying to be funny. I think it's gold mined.
It's funny because that I've told this story before, and that thought never crossed my mind until right now, and like we both like said that at the same time.
English is weird, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's like gold mound with an F at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were like, Christopher Columbus was like, we were going to add an F to fuck with all of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gold mound. So we're there, and we're in like the middle of nowhere in this city called Dyer, Nevada. It's like 4 hours north of Vegas. So anyway, so we're there, and at the time, I wanted a model. Like I had people like every now and then someone would say, oh, you should model. I had like long hair at the time and whatever. And so,
do you have any pictures of this?
Yeah. If
Did you do like were you an underwear model?
Not that I was an underwear model, but I took photos for my portfolio in underwear, and then I also I did one editorial magazine where I was wearing Speedos.
Okay, so are we posting this on the podcast?
Yeah, screw it, man. Yeah, if you Google my name, you'll find it. Like it's funny because I don't tell anybody this, but like they'll find the mortgage stuff. If you just keep scrolling back on Google, like you will see the photo I'm talking about. The photos.
I'm down.
So yeah, it's funny, man.
Dude, that's hilarious.
So I wanted to model and wanted to get into it. I don't know why. It was just like one of those things I was like, you know, I want to do. I was like 17 or 18 at the time. So it's actually so crazy because like, you know, my headshot, like my mortgage one is like, you know, so, and I can imagine just someone just like scrolling and then just seeing that, be like, what the hell, you know? But
it could help your business. You never know.
It could. Because
you know, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, a woman in her 50s calls you and says, hey, Lucas, you know, I was just wondering what you were wearing. And you're like, pants, you know, this jacket, blazer. Mm-hmm. No, but, you know, I saw some older pictures of you in you know, those Speedos.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you could wear that at our appointment.
Yeah.
You kind of just show up with, you have a blazer, a white t-shirt or a tank top, and just blue Speedos. You're just standing there at the desk. Martha, it's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, pleasure having you. I'll be like, before I commit to that, I'll be like, what's the loan amount?
What's your credit score?
What's the social? Let me check this first before I do this.
You slam the book down. Let's get you approved.
It turns into a porno.
Shane would totally be the director, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. He would do it at his like studio, you know, over there. He would have the whole setup. We could do it there.
We could do it there.
Yeah,
for sure.
So,
I have like a wild imagination.
No, I love it.
It's good, man. It's good. Yeah, it's good for storytelling.
I love it. Yeah, it's definitely entertaining.
Thank you.
So, so from there, I'm submitting my stuff to agencies, getting denied left and right. I had a friend that was living in Brooklyn. So when we came back from Nevada and like gold mining and sampling the different mines, because we were like panning out the gold. We were running it through this, I forgot what it was called, but this like filtration thing. We were sampling the different mines is what we were doing to then get investment to like further mine the most profitable mine. Never ended up doing that. But anyway, long story short, I end up, becoming a model and moving to New York, and then I got signed here in Miami. So I'm doing all that. I then got into photography and videography because through being on set, you get exposed to that. And I was living with photographers. So like I got interested in it. One thing led to another. I'm shooting videos for models and rappers and doing music videos and stuff like that. And this whole time, like 18, 19, like living with my parents, like 20 years old, whatever. So then I was serving tables. I was a server for a few years at a few different restaurants. And then, so I'm going to get like a little more detailed here, but so when you're a model, male models, like most of them make like no money. Like,
what's no money? What do you expect to make? Like hourly wage, practically minimum wage?
Yeah. So like if you get no, more than that. But you're living this lifestyle where you're living in like these model apartments with like no privacy. I mean, there's bunk beds, literally, bunk beds sort of thing. You owe this money. So like it's in advance. Kind of like record labels or like whatever, that sort of thing. So, they're covering your rent, and the idea is for you to get jobs that they're going to cover it. But, that is already an expense to overcome. And like a good campaign, that's paying you $10, $15, $20,000, like it's very few models that are getting those jobs, and then like the really like bigger campaigns, they, again, you're talking about like the 0.1%, but your average male model is struggling.
What do you think they're making a year?
Man, if I had to, I'm talking about like nothing, like 20, 30,000 a year.
So why do people want to do this? What brought you to want to do it?
At the time I was a kid. So it was also the thought that like, I could be one of those, and also at the time I didn't really have concept of like money. Like, yeah, I worked, but like not like now, And so you're provided this lifestyle of like, hey, we're going to cover your expenses. So I'm going to move to a different city or a different country. I'm going to have these expenses covered for me, be around these cool people. And then like you can make enough to get by, like, you can, but to make it to the point where you're making, let's say, a decent wage, 70, 80,000 a year, $100,000. I mean, it's not your average model that's doing that.
Right.
And so I don't know, at some point people like they do it for a little bit and then they leave, but that tends to be what happens, or maybe they do it on the side, but they end up getting like a real job and they still, are booking jobs here and there. But so it was a really cool experience. Like living in New York in that environment was like crazy. So really, really crazy stuff.
Okay.
But anyway, so that exposed me to all that. And then I was waiting tables. And so when you're a model, to kind of make ends meet, sometimes a common like ancillary job that a lot of models do is they will cater like high-end events. That's something that I did for anywhere from like Saks Fifth, like on Fifth Avenue in New York, to like a Vogue like meeting that was being held, or like here in Miami and Wynwood at different events. So you get paid $30 an hour normally, and you're wearing like a black suit that you buy at H&M. And you're just there like serving champagne, wine, hors d'oeuvres, and getting paid $30 an hour. They just want good looking people serving appetizers, men. So
what's interesting about that though is you do have the opportunity to make some very good connections, but you have to be willing to step out of that element, because as that person you're kind of playing the servant. So you have to be willing to say, well, this is my job right now, but I'm still in this environment, and I want to be in this environment for a reason. So you probably do have some of those very ambitious waiters or servers who are purposely in that area to hopefully, impress the right person and kind of make their way out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely made some good contacts. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think it was after the podcast, but as a kid, you're not always aware of like other people's intentions, especially older men, women, when they're talking and you're like a young, good looking kid, like young, you know what I mean? Like 18, 19, like you don't, unless you grew up in an environment that really required you to build like a social awareness. I grew up kind of sheltered, in a lot of ways. So you get put in certain scenarios where maybe someone extends a hand to you to maybe help you, but there might be like an ulterior motive there. So I had that happen to me like a few times. And so it's very weird. But I got to be in like some situations, like some households, some places that are like, wow, and like really luxury, like multi-million-dollar homes and places and people that are very successful, people that I can name, but it was cool at the time, but maybe in some of those, if you take it the right way, you build the right connections, the right networking, like, and you approach it with certain expectations, like, hey, I'm not going to cross this line with you, but I'll do that, at that point, it's up to chance, I guess, like what happens and the person you meet. But you do get put in some interesting circles.
I'm realizing that the importance of this more and more, and I always knew it in my subconscious, but wasn't as proactive about it. It's very simple. Everyone knows this. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Mm-hmm. And what you know is important, but if you have the combination of knowledge and connections, you have it. And there are people that are going to get a leg up just because they know someone. Mm-hmm. But I think if you can meet the people and also be competent, it's such a double-edged sword. Yeah. Because you just have so much potential, man. Mm-hmm. But that's where the world gets a little unfair, and you have to create that equality for yourself, so to speak. Like, you have to level up. Mm-hmm. As a realtor, I see it all the time. I see realtors just come into the game. They know the right people. They come from wealth, and they just get into it, and they get to list a property that takes other agents years to get to. Mm-hmm. So, my goal is I'm trying to get in front of those people sooner than later. So even for now, I think about like joining a team of some top agent in Miami, and that may very well catapult me. Mm-hmm. But then there's also a part of me that says, if I do that, I'm kind of going to have to do things their way, where that's not necessarily a negative thing. I just have to really think about it and decide what's best for me. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean they're necessarily, all of them are going to want to hire me, but then again, plenty of them hire newer agents. Doesn't mean anything. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm trying to make that kind of happen. I wouldn't say myself, because you never truly do anything on your own. You always need help to get anywhere. What I mean is I want to try to find my own direction as opposed to being coddled into it. Mm-hmm. You get me? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to meet those agents and know them from outside instead of them kind of having me do everything according to their system. Mm-hmm. I want to be able to interact with them and bring them into my circle, so this way I can learn from them, but be able to do things, tweak things to you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, take from, say, 10 different top agents, see what they're doing to succeed, pick and choose the things that I feel would best suit me. Mm-hmm. Because all agents are different. There's certain agents out there that their personality type just isn't me. Mm-hmm. There's some agents that are extremely bubbly and smiley. That's not really my thing. I am a very positive, upbeat person, but there's an agent, Jonathan Vega, and he's very successful. He's a young dude. He's younger than me. I think he's maybe 25 or 26. Mm. He just has such an amiable, very smiley, jumpy, dancy personality, which for him, it does him so well. Mm-hmm. It's not me naturally, so I'm not going to make believe that's me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be myself. I'm very charismatic and outgoing, and I'm always talkative with most people. Mm-hmm. But there are moments where I'm a lot more reserved and just I do my own thing. It's not that I'm very far from shy. Yeah. It's just more I'm not always going to be in the mood to be energetic and wild.
I think I'm kind of the same way in a lot of ways. But what I find interesting about what you said is I think it's not so much what you're going to be picking up from these people, at least correct me if I'm wrong, but normally it's the right activities. What is it this person's doing?
That's what I mean, exactly.
Because he might have his approach and how he speaks with someone, interacts, and you have yours, and you're going to attract different people just based off who you are. But the activities, that's the part that I'm always so interested in, is what is it that this person's doing? How are they doing it? With what frequency? But normally it just boils down to just do it. Whatever it is, if it's mailers, if it's calling from this time to this time, it's just consistently just doing the work.
That's what it comes down to. So he got a big award today, as he's in the 1% of Compass agents nationwide, which is a huge accomplishment. Wow. And I commented on the post on his Instagram, and I said, dude, it's everyone was saying well deserved, and it's totally well deserved. The kid busts his ass. And although I have a different personality style, and many people do, he's very quirky, you see how consistent he is. He's such a hard worker. He's willing to step out of the box. He's willing to do things that are different. I'm willing to do things that are different too, but he has a very distinct style. So the things that he does are just, what it teaches me is don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone and separate yourself. The most important thing, I spoke about this yesterday in the podcast, in this day and age, so many people are copying it. Most human beings aren't original. They're not creative. So, well, I think everyone has creativity, but I think a lot of people have a hard time tapping into their own creativity. And they're not confident enough to believe that their creativity will get them where they need to be. So they just piggyback off of other people's creativity. And I think to some degree, we all copy and mimic people, all of us.
For sure.
But there's always a very individualistic style that we all have. We all have that gift where we can bring out our originality, and that's where you shine. When people can sense that that's really you and you're not faking it, that's where I feel you really have your moment. And once enough people acknowledge it, and you start to become the truest version of who you are, it all comes to fruition. There's that real spark, and then that kind of compounds. So I look at it with real estate and podcasting, where you develop enough of a confidence and credibility, where you've closed enough transactions, where you know how to close deals, you know how to talk to people, you know how to negotiate. Everything you do, from shaking someone's hand to walking into a $15 million house, there's an unshakable confidence that you don't just get from existing. It comes over time. And the same thing with podcasting. After doing, tens of episodes, hundreds of episodes, gets to a point where you can sit down in a chair, put a microphone in front of you, and it's completely subconscious. Whereas I've had guests on that got really nervous. It's kind of cute because truthfully, I didn't have that issue. I was always very comfortable, but I understand why they're like that. They don't know what to say. They feel they might sound stupid. They don't like how their voice sounds. There's so many reasons why people don't do it.
Yeah.
And the reality, like anything, is once you are willing to put yourself in front of it enough, and you don't run away from it, eventually you're going to figure it out. Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's so true. Just being willing, like you said, it goes back to confidence or whatever, but just being willing to be bad at something before you're good at something, like knowing that that's okay.
It's a big issue for people, bro. No one wants to suck at things because if you're good at something, there's a comfort in that.
Yeah.
But if that good at something is not really what you want to be good at, ideally, it's not, you might be good at flipping pancakes. Is that going to make you money? Is that going to make you the best version of yourself? No. Go find something that's going to make you very uncomfortable, but you can actually do well at. It's going to be very tough in the early stages, but if you stick it out long enough, it could really, really turn you into someone you'll be very proud of. That's what I think.
So, actually, on that note, a good segue back into how I ended up even getting to doing mortgages. So at that point, that catering job. So I started dating my girlfriend at the time. Now she's my fiance, but this was 7 years ago.
Congrats. When did you get engaged?
3 months ago. Yeah, 3 months
Very
ago.
Nice, man. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks. Remember that photo that the one in Yellowstone where I was making that face? Yeah. It was on that trip.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was on that
that's
trip.
Awesome, man.
Yeah, it was cool. So we were in the movies, and I got a text from one of the owners of one of those companies, the catering companies, and he was like, "Hey, we're looking for some girls to be corporate recruiters for a mortgage company because they want a pretty face to bring the recruits in." So, anyways, I was like, "Oh, I know a girl, so." Introduced her to them. She got the job. I didn't know what mortgages were. I was still serving tables, and then, long story short, she was like, "Hey, guys here making some decent money." And I was like, I could make some decent money instead of just serving tables, So I had no idea what a mortgage was, literally no clue. I never thought I would. I have a creative background, art, music, video, photo, not that, But I got into it. I felt like I had some talent, but I was really miserable for 6 months. I told you guys yesterday, but I would go downstairs. I would be so frustrated on days because you're in a call center talking to a lot of people. You're being told no, people are making fun of you. I was a 21-year-old kid. I'm talking to 50-year-old men about their mortgage. I'm 21. You know what I mean? So I'm just getting slapped with kind of that sort of reality of I have no idea what I'm talking about. So I would go downstairs and cry, just so angry and so frustrated because I want to be good, And
these are the pivotal moments, bro. Though these are the pivotal moments. Yeah. And that's why honestly, it's such a good thing to get into it young. Because you're getting that rejection out of the way at an earlier age.
Yeah.
Because it's bro, think about it this way. when you're like an 18, 19-year-old realtor or mortgage broker, like you're saying, all of these older people are like, bro, I have kids your age. What are you trying to tell me about running business and organizing money and approving my money? What do you have, $50 in your bank, right? So they don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
But imagine you were getting into the business at 50 for the first time. Now it's flipped, meaning at a young age, they don't expect you to know anything. Mm-hmm. So that's your edge, because now you kind of have a chip on your shoulder and you can prove them wrong. Mm-hmm. When you're 50 and you get into real estate or mortgages, they expect you to know things. Mm-hmm. And when you don't know things, you look like a moron. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like, that's why I say, if you're going to do anything, do it younger, because, I mean, at least in business, because you have that leg up. They don't expect you to have that knowledge. And when you do it, they take a step back and go, wow, this is a serious kid. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, and you have those people. You have those really young kids, these ambitious kids. Mm-hmm. You have these 21-year-old agents who are selling $1 million houses. They're out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not allowing that, because knowing that that's an obstacle, but not allowing that to say, like, hey, I'm not worth it. I'm not capable. I'm not able to be that guy, you know? So, yeah, but at some point I turned the corner and things started to click, started to make sense. You know, just the mortgage process, communicating benefit, building rapport, building trust on the phone. This was always just on the phone, so they just have my voice, you know. And then, so I did that for a few years. I left the industry for 2 years. Did it for 3 years. Left the industry for 2 years. Went back to videography. Rates had gone up, and the market was in a different place. And I was mainly doing refis. And then got back into it at the beginning of 2020, and been doing like the more like purchase focused, you know, face to face, like referral based business for about 2 years now. So I already had like the mortgage knowledge and like how to talk to clients. Now I was like, okay, how do I learn how to talk to and communicate benefit to referral partners? And how do I do purchases? Because I really only did refis before. There's a lot of these call center shops. You think of like the all these different call center companies, Loan Depot, the Rocket Mortgages, the this and that, Freedom Mortgage, whatever. There's a lot of call centers. And, you know, you can really like learn your chops there, but you're mainly just doing refis for the most part. And so this was just like a totally different thing, but yeah, I've been at it for 2 years now. Things are going well. I sponsored the Topgolf event, the one that's fantastic that you went to. Yeah, it was great. So I'm really happy with how things are going. And even though the market is in an interesting place, people talk about it all the time, but even like when things are in a recession or down, you know, that's really where you can kind of like separate yourself. You have to have the fortitude to like say, hey, like I'm gonna do, if I was making 20 calls a day, I'm doing 40 now. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is that you're doing, like I just need to boom, 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 like kind of barrel through it. But if you do, like I think it's really an opportunity. You know, when everyone's zigging, you're zagging.
I love when you say, I love this, bro. Yeah. Because this is like a real moment to shine. Because the truth is, I'm seeing this as a realtor, and this isn't me saying this, but I know it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So many agents are going to freak out now and drop out. And I'm sure it's like that with mortgage brokers too. Mm-hmm. The seasoned agents who are doing well, who have enough business, they'll stay. Yeah. But the earlier ones, the ones who aren't seeing enough results, they're going to fade out. It's going to be too much of a scare for them. They're going to have a fight or flight moment. They're going to take flight mode. They're going to bounce. And that leaves more opportunity for the people who are on the hunt. Yeah. And as long as you're still willing to go for the gazelle, mm-hmm. It's game time, bro. And it's gonna hurt. It's gonna suck. You know, I'm less than 2 years in. It's gonna be a fight, but I'm here. You know, and I know that at the end of the day, it also, when you're in these predicaments, you have to really learn. You're if you're on a stranded on an island, you got to figure things out. You got to learn how to survive. Creative. You got to start getting creative. Your brain is wiring. Your brain's on your brain is on overpower. Well, I don't know what the word would be. It's on overdrive. Thank you. I mean, that's the word I was looking for. Overdrive. So when it's on overdrive, you need to come up with all of these different ways to maximize every second of the day. And you don't have that when the pressure isn't on. So that's the plus side. And I keep hearing this from different entrepreneurs, and I realize how true it is. The good news is that I know I'm fit. I'm built for it. So that's it. Yeah. That is it's easy to succumb to the fear because that's what's around, you know. So if we're talking about where you put your focus or social media or whatever, because everyone's talking about the same stuff, you know, like if we follow enough of the same mortgage people and realtors and, you know, whatever, you see the same posts, you see the same things, like the doom and gloom of, you know, rates are up and people are, you know, buyer demand is down and like, you know, whatever. But it's like, yeah, but, you know, maybe what was working for you last year might not work as much now, but it doesn't mean there isn't another way
to achieve the same thing. So like, for example, I wasn't doing so much, like just to give an actual example, I wasn't doing so much prospecting the last 2 years. I wasn't doing a lot of refis. I was mainly doing purchases, but the way I got started is I reached out to my sphere of influence, my parents, family, friends, and I got like 4 deals, you know, boom, 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 made a little over $20,000 from the 4 deals. I left my previous job. So that was like this is it. Like right. This $20,000 is what's going to hold you over. Then from there, it was one deal, the next deal, the next deal. Then what I was kind of counting on, what I was banking on was, hey, like every purchase transaction I get, I'm just going to knock it out of the park. Like I'm going to communicate with the buyer's agent. I'm going to communicate with the listing agent consistently, because that listing agent, now they get a test drive. They get a test drive of Lucas Lending on this deal. Like I didn't have to prospect them. Like it's just another agent on the deal now. Right. So if I can really knock this out of the park and communicate, because that's a big thing. You know, people don't communicate. So if I just communicate, tell you what's going on with the loan, close on time, I'm already better than like 80-90% of people if I just do that. Like right. as that's how low the bar is. In the top 10%, 5%, there's some great loan officers, and I know a lot of them. So there's definitely like killers out here that I look up to, that I'm like, hey man, I want to do what you're doing. But if you just do like do a good job on the loan and communicate, like you're already way ahead of the rest. But so that in itself was like kind of growing, you know. So like my first year I did like my half of the year, because my first loan closed in May. I did like 26 or something, 25, somewhere around there. But there was a good amount of refis in there. Transactions in 2020, 2021, I did 51, 37 purchases, 14 refis. And then this year so far, I'm ahead of last year. But what I'm having to do different this year is I'm prospecting. I post about it on Instagram all the time. People see me. I go to open houses on weekends, introduce myself to real estate agents. I don't get in their way and like kind of, you know, because they're there for the clients and for the house. I get that. I'm like, hey, in and out, here's my card. Can I follow up with you later this week? Sometimes we vibe, sometimes we don't. But no one's ever going to tell you to F off. You know what I mean? Like, no one really does that, but they might just say, hey, I'm busy. Like, hey, cool, no worries. I totally understand. Do your thing. Have a great day. I come with like Celsius drinks. I literally bring a cooler with Celsius drinks and bananas, like literally. Like some people that follow me that are going to see this video are going to be like, yeah, like that's how I met this guy. Like, because we now follow each other. So and then I threw the event, you know, with Shane and Peak Title. So I'm like, yo, I got to get in front of people. I was not doing that before. It was just the other stuff. And due to buyer demands being high, that alone, like the number of real estate agents that I had sending me business was enough for me to grow. Just that. But now everyone's transactions are down. So if I had 20 real estate agents sending me business, now I need like 40. Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. Just to even achieve the same results. So I had to get, like, we're talking about like what are the activities? How are you getting creative? What are the things that you're doing? It's like, that's outside of my comfort zone, bro. I was a phone guy. Like, to get in front of people, shaking hands, you know, like potentially getting rejected in person and all that. Like, there was definitely a hesitancy to that. But I was like, fuck it. Like, if I need to do it, you know, and lo and behold, it's actually kind of fun.
That's what always happens, man. It's like on the other side of fear is opportunity. It works that way with everything, because you eventually realize it's not a big deal. But that's a filtration system, man. It separates the men from the boys.
Yeah.
You know, that filter is, you know, and it works that way with everything.
Yeah.
There are always levels to something.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of being willing to do those things. It would be nice if I had a list. Well, technically, there is a list, and over time you start to put that list together. But you know, when you're newer in the game, you're like, what is the sauce? What's the secret? Mm-hmm. And what I'm understanding is the secret is consistency. The secret is consistency, keeping an open mind, being coachable, and over the course of time, you continue to turn the knob. You continue to tweak the knob. You know, I look at this as an example. You know, this. Audio interface, mm-hmm. and you constantly tweak it to get the best gain possible, the best noise possible, mm-hmm. and you keep going and going and going. And the noise is the noise might go bad a couple of times, and you got to tweak it again, fix it again. But that's all it's about, man, because you're not going to have all the answers, and you have to discover them. You know, and sometimes they're going to reveal themselves to you through other people. You might see somebody screw up a deal, and now you can learn from their mistake. You know, that's mm-hmm. always a good way to go about it, is mm-hmm. you know, speed up the process by learning from other people's mistakes. But mm-hmm. no matter how much you do that, you're gonna fuck up as well on your own. So mm-hmm. a lot of components.
But like you said, that's part of the process. I saw this quote from Ray Dalio, and he said it was a pain plus reflection equals progress. So like the pain is part of it, like whatever it is. But then, you know, reflecting on it, saying, where do I adjust, you know, that sort of thing. And then making the adjustments, you know, but to expect that you're going to knock it out of the park from the beginning, and that's why you don't want to get started, like you're just never going to win. You're not giving yourself the chance to.
100%. There's a lot of aspects. What's interesting is when people see other people doing something at a high level, they never give them the credit of what it took to get there, because they don't see the long hour. And this is a very cliche statement that's been said many times, but it's so true, is people don't see the hard work and the ugly, boring times that were put in.
The failures. Right.
They don't talk about any athlete. They don't see the times where they were alone on the court or on the field, playing by themselves, practicing by themselves, whenever all the other players went home. You know, Kobe, Messi, you know, anyone and any other athlete was spending the time when others were deciding to party or go home. So that's really what it comes down to. And I think what's interesting also is when you've been able to succeed at a high level at one thing, you now can transfer those skills into something else. So that's why you'll see, take a guy like The Rock, for instance, everything he seems to do turns to gold, because he's tried so many different ventures and he's been able to take all these experiences. And now, not only is he so skilled in so many areas of his life, he's built such a reputation that anything he touches pretty much is guaranteed to make money.
The key with me is no one will outwork me. No one. I love and I respect you guys. Motherfuckers won't outwork me. All starts with this. 2 hands, putting it to work. Now, I kneel before no one.
So even take a guy like Logan or Jake Paul, as much as people shit on them, they can pretty much pivot into almost anything now. And they'll do well at it. So now Logan Paul is doing like WWE stuff, bro. I literally see. Yeah, did you watch that growing up at all? Rey Mysterio?
Not much, no.
Okay, so I used to watch it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So there's this wrestler, Rey Mysterio, the short guy who's very acrobatic. He's very agile and he does all these cool tricks. I think it was Rey Mysterio or it was someone else. You see Logan Paul jump over him. He did like this split and jumped over him, and then Logan Paul literally did a split on the canvas.
What?
And he's wearing this whole like yellow leather suit, and he looks like he's been doing it for like 10 years.
Mysterio's accomplished. It's Rey's disrespectful son, Dominic. How can you not be impressed with Logan Paul's performance?
Ooh, impressive suplex.
Might have been the dagger to Rey Mysterio. Here comes Logan Paul, looking to end it. Oh, and he lands it.
Because he's at a point in his life where he's been through so much rejection, so much judgment, so much hate, and he's been able to succeed through all of it. And him and his brother have tried so many different things that now anything they do, they're just like, what? How bad could it be? I already have so many haters. I've already been through so much at a young age. So you can shit on them all you want, but I look at them and I say, at the end of the day, whatever you want to say about them, they're people who are willing to dive into it, get totally laughed at. Everyone told them they were a joke, and at the end of the day, man, they have the last laugh. They're the one laughing to the bank. You know, it's the truth.
Yeah.
And they're doing what they want to do. So as whatever you want to say about them, when somebody has something that they go after, and aside from succeeding at it, they actually have the balls to go after it. That to me, it's a huge inspiration. So I can't hate on that, man, because very few humans are willing to do that.
Yeah. But your ability to see that and be inspired by it, not everybody's like that, you know? Well,
that's because I know that I'm the kind of person to go after what I want. So that's why it inspires me. Most people are bitter about it, not because of what the person's doing. So people who shit on Jake Paul and say, oh, he's not a real boxer. Are you even trying to do what he's doing, though? The kid still knocked out Tyrone Woodley, who was a champion.
Yeah.
While Jake Paul was on Disney Channel.
All those missed.
Oh!
There's a good right hand, and that drops Woodley, and in.
From Jake Paul, lead hand, and put Woodley to... Wow, Barry, I got excited.
I mean, that's the way.
Boom.
Just as good as it can be.
Dropped his jab hand.
Boom.
Boom. Might have came straight up over the down the pipe, and he turned it over the top.
Say whatever you want, man. But are you boxing Tyrone Woodley?
Yeah.
No, you get your ass kicked.
Yeah, you're not training how this guy's training.
So
he's
give the
he's busting
kid
his
credit
ass.
where it's due, bro.
Yeah.
And like even after he knocks out Tyrone Woodley, people could not give him the credit, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could knock out Canelo, and people are still gonna give him shit. I'm telling. There are people that will never give some people the credit they deserve because they're so bitter and so unhappy that they'll never do it. They will never do it, and it's shit. But once you get to a certain stage in your life, you don't even, you block them out and you feel bad. You feel sorry for them because you see it so clearly, and it's like, I'm successful at such a high level, and you're still hating on me. There's so much you must be missing in your life for you not to be able to give credit where it's due. You know what I mean? It's crazy that some people are so unhappy and so unfulfilled. Yeah.
I almost don't like saying this stuff because it's not like what's around me, but just in society as a whole. I mean, I think that's the majority, you know, like you need to be careful about like who you have around you and like what type of energy and like thought process and perceptions. Like even if family lots of times is like the worst culprit of it, but like family or like close friends you grew up with, you know, that maybe, you know, like you still have love for them, you know, but kind of see things a little differently. But I think a lot of society is the way that you just said, where, you know, because I say it all the time, like in our positions and like the work that we do, I think it's fantastic. I want to say we're blessed because, I mean, we made the decision to get into it. So it's like kind of, you know, I made the choice and I worked through it. But if you work harder and you do more, you make more, you get paid more. Like it's just on you. It's not a boss that you're asking for a promotion on, you know, and you know, with that comes more responsibility, but, you know, you can reap more of the rewards. So many people, not to say you have to be an entrepreneur. It's not that, but it's just like, you know, trying to get that next role or that next job or push it, you know, like keep excelling. They don't do that. And so they stay in this kind of just making enough to just cover whatever expenses, and they're living paycheck to paycheck. Like it doesn't matter how much they're making, if it's 40, 50, 70, 80, you know, whatever, like they bring their expenses up to the point that they're pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. And then they're still like subject to, hey, okay, I have to get up Monday at 7 a.m. to make it to work, and I have to do this and I have to do that. And so they're living in this reality of like, that they feel like they can't change their circumstances. And that's completely their perception, because they absolutely can. And they're definitely capable of it. Everyone listening to this is capable of it. But you just kind of put yourself in this environment and this thought process of like, this is my reality. That's, you know, that's for them. This is for me. I'm going to keep saving and I'm going to, you know, do this and that, and I'll retire in 40 years. And that, if someone really contemplates that, that's miserable. That is miserable as shit. Like, it's so sad. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're doing what you love. My dad loves kids. He's a pediatrician, loves kids. He's 60, 61. He plans on retiring in like 2-3 years. He's, you know, planning to do that. But like we talk about it, and he's been working since he was like, you know, like all the studying that he did, and now working, you know, for 40 years. Like if like had he like had the opportunity to maybe potentially take a different route that was more lucrative and invested it properly and done this and that or whatever, retired 15 years ago, you think he'd be mad at that? Like, he's doing what he loves. There's nothing to do with that. But it's like, do you really want to not have the choice to sleep in on a Wednesday? Like, just because you want to, like, whatever it is, you know what I mean? But like the freedom. And I think men in particular, women as well, but just humans, we crave like freedom. We crave fulfillment. We want progress. We want to know that we're kind of taking it to the next level.
You know what the truth is, bro? Everybody wants the end result of it, but when it comes down to knowing, when you realize what it actually takes to get that, very few people are interested in going through the headache and pain of it.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of how the world was created, man. It's like, if you really want those very rare luxuries, and we're not talking about material luxuries, we're talking about free luxuries, we're talking about autonomy and the ability to make decisions.
Yeah,
you're going to have to put yourself through the ringer. You're going to have to put yourself through a trial period that's going to test you. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, I believe in God. I'm not that religious, not really religious at all, but I do believe that when you're setting out to do something big that seems bigger than you, that seems like it's something you're nervous you may not be able to achieve it, you have to keep telling yourself you can. And I think God sends you tests that says, listen, asshole, you want this? A lot of people want this. If you want this, I'm going to make this very hard for you. And you better show me that it's actually something you're willing to do, because if I give it to you, it's something that, will potentially make your life very nice, but it's going to come at the expense of a lot of sacrifice, a lot of headache, some sleepless nights, a lot of evenings and weekends where you could have done other things, but you decided not to. Are you willing to make those sacrifices? And for me, I totally am, because I know it's going to pay off at some point. And it's tough not knowing when it will. And it's already, for me, it's already paying off on minimal levels. So I think that's also another thing, is to always be conscious of the little wins you make every day, because those things are what give you the momentum for those bigger wins. So when people are only focusing on the end goal, they're missing it. You have to focus on the process. And that process is beautiful. Even if you get fucking slapped around a bunch of times, you learn so much about yourself in the process. And when you finally get those things, whether it's that awesome car, that beautiful house, or the recognition, or the ability to speak and teach people and coach people, all of those things, when you've realized, you look at all the pain that you went through to get to where you are, there's such a beautiful reward in that, man. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to be able to coach people in real estate, on podcasting, on life, whatever it is, and know that I have the backstory to be able to give it confidently. And the truth is, man, the harder of a story you've had, the more people resonate with it. So if you grew up in easy times and you became successful, it doesn't resonate with as many people. But if you were living in your car, you were homeless, you were, for me, living in a basement for many years without parents, that whole story, a lot of people connect with that, because they said, hey, this guy also had it hard and he was able to figure it out. Maybe I can do it too. People love the rags to riches stories. They love that stuff.
I like what you said though about like noticing the small wins, which is why I think people that like exercise, not, everyone should exercise, but like people that, they bodybuild, or you just exercising, they notice like over time, it's like, okay, I lost a little bit of weight, or I'm noticing a little bit of tone in my body. Like kind of what you were saying about The Rock, like how you take one, I guess you could say skill set, but like one way of being, and you apply it to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. It's like, hey, I know that if I did this, I changed my body over the course of 6 months, a year, whatever it is. Hey, I'm starting this new field, real estate or whatever. If I apply that same discipline, those same, characteristics to this, I will succeed, like at some point, some way, somehow, I'll start to get whatever the win is. If it's like a callback, if it's a rental, that you got, then maybe someone's, like that's a win. Someone that didn't have something, then, boom, 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 the conversations, the listing appointment, maybe they don't get it, but hey, like they almost got it, and, whatever. It's just, I don't know. I don't really think it's that complicated. Like the
mindset's the hard part, bro. The mindset's the hard part. A lot of it's tough. Don't get me wrong, but it gets easier. It doesn't stay hard forever. There's a breaking point in a good way. I don't mean a breaking point where you break down. That can happen too for people, but there's a point where the wave, kind of crashes over the sand, and you realize that you're on the shore again. And like Ryan Serhant. You ever heard of Ryan Serhant? He has an incredible video he put out a while back, and he talks about how when you first take the raft out into the water in the rapids, you have to fucking fight through those rapids to get through the rapids, but eventually you end up in this large swath of open water, and now the water's calm and relaxing. But you can't get to that calm water unless you've been through those rapids. And most people, they're in the rapids, they freak out, they lose their minds. He said, while you're flowing through those rapids, as much as things are scary, you can't panic. You have to kind of and he said it in different words, but it's along these lines. You have to be in movement, in a calm and collected movement. Even if you're nervous, you have to compose yourself, get to that end where the water breaks and everything's comfortable. And not when I say comfortable, I mean you're now at ease to breathe, and now you can go and do what you need to do. And once you get to that point, you can now apply those attributes to other areas of your life. So when I hear countless entrepreneurs saying these things in different ways, they're all saying the same shit in different ways, you come to realize that these things are what work. Like this is what it is. You hear the classic things: consistency, mindset, positive attitude, the people you surround yourself with. There really aren't that many. There aren't that many things. There are a lot of little fine details, But when it comes down to like the major character traits, they all come full circle, dude. And it doesn't matter what field you're in. It's just believing in yourself, having the confidence, being consistent and not quitting, being willing to actually learn, pushing yourself through the difficulty, having a stoic mindset where it's like, wow, this really sucks. I don't know if this makes sense. Should I still keep doing this? Yes. Hold on to it. Hang in there. Keep going. And just having that attitude, that's what'll do it.
Like I had a friend. It just made me like think of that, like what you were just saying right now. That I got him an interview at one of the mortgage companies at one point, and this would have been a big like improvement for him. Like I mean, not to say it was the right thing, but he went to the interview and then he was like, no, it's not for me. And I don't want to kind of put too much of his business out there or anything, but it was just it would have been a nice change had he really like taken it. It could have potentially changed his lifestyle, like for the better, like way for the better, but I think like just a lot of people just, if they just took that one extra step, like just to see a little bit of progress, I think that could lead to momentum to keep pushing it, and see like, hey, I can do this, and so not to beat a dead horse or anything, because I think you summarized it so well right now. But I think it just takes that step, that willingness to like, hey, just try, and that's why I think something like this is really nice, because someone might be down and they might hear something like this, or any of your other episodes or all the other
I'm hoping for, man.
Great guests that you had, and they might say, damn, like, screw it, today I'm gonna do it now, because when you get down and when your emotions and your mind, like, you can really, like, you're not yourself, you're really not. And so you can find yourself just having different behaviors and of someone that's like you're like a shell of yourself, and so sometimes it's so like important to be able to have that like positive influence that just comes. It still has to come from you, from the inside. It still has to be your decision. But that's why like us being a light like onto others and like just trying to put the best that we can out there, because you can really impact like your community, like really, really, like if they all start kind of feeding off each other and all that, like imagine the type of people you'll have around you, because you're literally influencing them and then they're influencing you, and it can be such a positive thing. But it at the end of the day, I think it boils down to like, their inner decision on like what type of life they want to have and who do they want to be.
100%. You know what I think about? I think about the saying that a person that thinks they're crazy enough to change the world actually will or actually can. And people are like, oh, what the hell am I going to do to change this? It's like, no, dude, if you believe strongly enough in something and you're set out to do something about it, you'll single-handedly change the entire trajectory of the world. And when it comes to like certain things, I don't like, global warming. Do I know if it's real or not? Maybe so. It may trigger people listening to this. If it's true, yeah, then I'm concerned about it. But is it like my top concern? Honestly, it's not. Maybe it should be. But I'm not going to go out there right now and start like waving flags and banners, going crazy. There are certain things that I'm passionate about, I'll speak about. I'm definitely a very passionate, proactive person. I'm not passive at all. It depends what that thing is. But you see throughout history, I mean, there's countless names of people who have single-handedly changed the entire world. One human. You can go down the list, and there are countless people like that. And then you have so many people that just walk the earth. And I'm not saying they don't bring any purpose to the world. I think everyone has a purpose. But there are some people that are complete game changers, and then there are people who really contribute very little. And it's crazy to me, because it's like people say, well, I'm going to die anyway. It's like, no, but you'll bring a legacy with you. I mean, you think of Martin Luther, just giving some examples because there's so many. Martin Luther King will be remembered for the rest of eternity, dude. Like from 1,000 years from now, he's still going to be mentioned. Einstein will still be mentioned thousands of years later. You even have athletes, Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson. They're going to go down in the history books. They already are. Like people aren't going to forget who they are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're going to live way beyond death. And that's crazy. You know what I mean? Because those people have a like a watermark, so to speak, or like a signature, a handprint on history, so to speak, that's never going to disappear. And
that's crazy, man.
I kind of want that, man, to some degree in something. I want to be able to say that I was able to impact the world in some form or fashion. It's pretty crazy, but
yeah,
I believe it. It's nice.
Why do you want that?
I think there's definitely a selfish aspect to it where I kind of, as a man, I love the idea of conquest and I love the idea of being able to accomplish things. Mm-hmm. But I think from a selfless standpoint, I really enjoy the idea of being able to make someone better if I believe that I have the know-how in a particular thing. And listen, we're all human. I'm not proud of everything I've done. I don't think anyone is. We've all had things we're not proud of. But as much as we're selfish by nature, humans have like selfish inclinations. We all feel good. Most of us anyway. I think all of us, even people who are doing things that they really shouldn't be doing, like, drug dealing or whatever, there's always going to be an aspect of giving that makes everybody feel good. People all always feel good about being able to contribute something.
Yeah.
Even some of the worst people in history, in some weird way, were giving at the same time. As weird as that sounds. So I think it's just, kind of not going into too much of a rabbit hole, but putting on the oxygen mask first before you help other people is like being selfish enough to take care of yourself. So then you put yourself in the best position to be able to take care of others. And that doesn't always mean money for everyone. There's a very prominent rabbi in the Jewish world who was revered by everybody. He's called the Lubavitcher rabbi, and he's everybody in the Jewish world. He's passed away, but he's very, 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 very. He's one of the most well-respected rabbis ever known, and even many non-Jews knew about him. And he wasn't wealthy. It didn't matter to him. Wealth wasn't it wasn't an interest to him. But he was a brilliant man, and he changed the lives of millions of people. And it's a big thing. It's a big deal.
Yeah. No, that's nice, man.
For sure. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up here, sir. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Make sure to subscribe, smash the like button, leave your comments. I love engagement from people. I respond to every comment. So I really look forward to you guys actually, asking questions or letting me know what you got out of the episode. It really helps me with future episodes and kind of gauge what people are interested in. So make sure to tune in to another episode of Soothing Semantics. Lucas, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, bro.